Hello, people of the world. It is episode 2 of destash diaries, and we're crocheting. Last episode, I tried and failed miserably. So we are going to relearn how to crochet because honestly, I haven't done it in like 2 years. I've got some cotton yarn here. It's like 30 or 40 meters max. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make the georgette collar by Shara Lambeth Designs. It seems like a fairly easy project for me to get back into crochet, and it has a wide variety of stitches, and plus I like making marbles. So all in all, seems like a good restarting point. Now this pattern is written completely in UK terms, which is totally fine, but I'm still quite unfamiliar with UK terms, so I have a little sticky note that's off camera here right beside me where I've written down like the US equivalents because those are the ones that I'm more familiar with. Obviously, you could just do a Google image search and then find an equivalency chart, but for some reason, I just like writing these things down. It helps them get into my head better. I used to do this when I was in school too, like when I was in university, I would rarely, if ever, use my laptop or iPad or whatever. I would just write things down on pen and paper, and then sometimes I would even rewrite my notes to make them like better to encompass like lecture slides and whatever my professor was talking about. And everyone thought I was cuckoo bananas for doing that. But I don't know, like for some reason, writing things down helps it get into your head better, like on pen and paper. It's not even the same when you're using like a tablet. I also do think that I have nice handwriting, so it's like fun for me to do this sort of stuff, and I could totally see why it's not a viable like academic strategy for others. But let me just say, I graduated summa cum laude, so take my advice for what it is. Oh my god, I forgot how annoying it was to do that first row of stitches after you make the chains. I have read that some people use like a smaller hook to do that first, I don't know if it's called a foundation row, but I've heard that people use a smaller hook to get between the chain stitches and then do that first row. I'm not even gonna bother. I only have a few hooks up here with me in the first place. The rest are somewhere in my basement. I don't know where they are. So we're gonna plow through it. I'm actually kind of surprised that this pattern is like you crochet it like left and right. I don't know what the right terms are, instead of in the round, because the finished image of the georgette collar, it's a round collar. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to make a magic circle. I'm gonna have to do all the rounds, but it's just back and forth. So that's interesting. It honestly took me a while to decide what project I wanted to do to use up my yarn, like what crochet project to do, because I found like a bunch of projects on Ravelry. I did the whole narrowing down my search thing based off of how much yarn I had, the hooks that I had up here lying around, and there were a lot of really nice patterns, but then I was looking at the instructions and it was like row like 87, and I was like, I'm not gonna do 87 rows. I don't care how pretty the item looks at the end. I don't want to do that. My ADHD cannot handle it. So I saw this pattern and it was like 5 rows, and I was like, that's brilliant. This is genius level work. So I was like, let's just do this one. You know, that reminds me of this one YouTube short that I saw where the person was like, if you have ADHD, make plushies. Do amigurumi plushies. The reasoning that they gave made so much sense because there's like increases. You can see the project being worked up much quicker. But I'm honestly not a plushie person. I'm not like a huge plushie person. I like them, but like I don't get it. Especially like plushie blind boxes like the Labubus, the Sylvanian Friends or whatever they're called. Like I don't get it. Like to me it kind of just feels like gambling for kids. Cuz you get the item and you don't know what it's going to be. It's fascinating stuff to me. I'm not going to drag on the hobby because dragging on other people's hobbies and things that they enjoy is it's so unsavory of me to do. But paying like $35 for a blind box is like wacky to me. It's very wacky to me. Something that I think would be really, really cool would be like a crafting blind box where you just get something random, you don't really know what it's gonna be, and then inside it there's like everything you need to make like one craft, or like everything you need to get started on one type of a craft. Obviously, like with any blind box, what you get would be a gamble, like you don't know if you're gonna enjoy it or not, but I just feel like something like that is more like fun and engaging. The business side of my brain is like tingling right now at the thought of doing that. If people are gonna spend $35 for an unknown plushie, like they'd be willing to spend an equivalent amount of money for a random craft. I think. I hope. I don't know. An idea to explore, maybe. And for those of you that didn't watch episode 1 of this series, first go watch it after you finish this one. But second, one of the rules that I mentioned for this video series was that everything I make has to be good quality, something that I would gift someone or put up in my shop. And I need to just say right now, I'm speaking like theoretically, because I don't think I would ever put up crochet things in my shop. Because number one, crochet for me just isn't as fun as punch needle. Even right now, like I'm just thinking about the things I want to punch needle after I'm done this. So I really don't think I like this craft enough to want to make things to put up in my shop. And number two, like I am not good enough at this craft to be able to justify selling it. I know I'm kind of a Delulu person. Saying Delulu is the Salulu, but I just feel like to sell crochet, you have to be able to differentiate yourself in the marketplace because there are just so many people that are doing it now. And you really have to stand out and be unique and make something really, really special to make people want to buy it. Like you're making something, like you're making a unique product, or you have like a unique style that others can't easily replicate. And stuff like that comes with experience that I do not have, at least not in this craft. I also cannot write my own patterns. I can barely interpret other people's crochet patterns. To even attempt at making my own, yeah, no, I would need way more practice. I think I would need double the time that I needed for punch needle to be good at crochet and to justify putting up crochet stuff in my shop. I'm definitely not opposed to like doing mixed craft things, like mixed media things. So something with like a little bit of crochet in it, if it's something like unique and it adds to like my own unique style and it brings value. But like to do just crochet and to make kind of like stuff that everyone else already does and already does way better than I could ever do myself is ridiculous, which is why I am not gonna do that. But I'm definitely not opposed to gifting people things, but I'm definitely like a picky gifter. For the last few years or so, I've just been making almost every single gift I give by hand, like even down to the cards. Honestly, no, I've been doing handmade cards since forever because I think even if your gift is like bad, like a good, earnest, heartfelt handmade card is like very important and very special to a lot of people, including myself. So handmade cards have always been a thing for me, but handmade gifts have been a thing for the last few years. And I'm just very picky about it because I don't want to make something that someone just throws away because it's so bad. Like I want something that people will actually, they don't even have to use it, but like they keep it and they like it and it adds like value to their life, to their space. And so I try really hard to make nice things for people. Okay, I just need to say this right now. No offense to any UK viewers. I love the UK. At least once a week, I just think about dropping everything and like taking a flight over. But man, these crochet terms are confusing. Double crochet was fine. Treble crochet was fine, but like double, treble, treble, double. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of prepare for trouble and make it double. I don't even think I've done this stitch before, but I think this is right. I think wrapping my yarn around twice before going into the stitch is right. Logically, that's what makes the most sense to me, I'm not gonna look it up right now because then I'm gonna have to put my project down. I'm gonna have to go on my laptop and look it up. I'm not gonna do that. We're gonna pretend that I'm right and we'll just go with it because I think this is right, but I could be wrong. Okay, so we're done the collar part. Slay. Now it's time for us to do the ties. And we've been given 3 different options to do the ties, but I'm kind of running out of yarn right now. So I'm gonna do the one that requires the least amount of yarn. I think that makes the most sense. And this option is basically just making like a disc and then chains up. But the way that this is written is super confusing. It's like make a chain and then crochet into the first stitch of the chain around. I feel like I could just do a magic circle and achieve the same effect, so I might just do that. So what I'm gonna do is just do a magic circle. Funnily enough, that's like the only thing I remembered like prior to doing crochet again. I could never get out of my head how to do a magic circle because it's basically been ingrained into me at this point. But anyways, I'm gonna do a magic circle. I'm gonna do chains first, and then I'll do treble crochets into the circle, and then slip stitch into the chain, and then chain a bunch up so that I can make the ties. I don't know how this modification is gonna go. I've never done crochet modifications. We're gonna find out. We're gonna see how this goes. You know what? That looks good. that looks excellent. So I'm gonna chain up and then attach the chain to the edge of the collar. And I'm gonna have to do the same thing again on the other side. I forgot how much counting is involved in crochet. I just have to be like on high alert all the time with this craft. Like with punch needle, it was so simple. You just punch into the fabric, nice and simple. I guess you can count holes in your monk's cloth or whatever to make sure that your stitch spacing is right, but like that's no big deal. I don't have to make sure that I'm chaining exactly like 65 chains, or I'm following like a 2 double crochets plus 1 treble crochet 5 times to make sure that my pattern is right. You know what? I'm complaining too much. I'm complaining way too much. We have a lovely free pattern here. Not only is it free, but we have variations, listed variations that Shara has very kindly provided for us for free, and I am sitting here complaining. You know what? No, we're just gonna finish up this tie, and we are going to weave in the ends. We have quite a few ends to weave in here for a project that's fairly small, but like it's no big deal. I'm pretty good at weaving ends in, I think. I kind of just go back and forth. I guess that's what weaving is. I don't know how much you're supposed to weave in for it to actually like work. I don't know if there's like a certain like standardized length that people usually go for. Certainly more than 5 centimeters, I'd assume 5 to 7. Who knows? But here is the finished georgette collar. This is so cute, and it's very lightweight. Like I could go wear this out in an afternoon and I wouldn't get sweaty. Obviously that's because I've used cotton. If you want to make it like more warm, I think wool would be great, or alpaca or something like that. But yeah, this is a great pattern, and I've used up almost all of that cotton yarn that I had left over. Shockingly enough, I do have a little bit of it left, but I can just use that for whatever other punch needle project or other craft that I want to do, so it's no big deal. I could even use it to wrap gifts, so I am okay with our outcomes here. Honestly, all of this crochet has just made me miss punch needle, so next episode of Destash Diaries, I'm thinking we go back to punch needle. We go back to punch needle and we make something really colorful and really awesome. That's what I'm thinking. But until then, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a comment if you enjoyed my yapping. Bye.